Calaroga Shark Media.
Hi and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. In the Daily Mail, Richard Eden writes about 80-year-old Thomas Markle, pointing out Thomas has never met Prince Archie or Princess Lilibet, and perhaps even more stunningly, has somehow never met Prince Harry. Eden writes, the late Queen had realised the significance of Meghan's estrangement from her father. Meghan's public disagreements with her father set alarm bells ringing at the time. A royal source tells me Her Majesty realised the potential damage they could do to the royal family in general. Looking back, the Queen might have had an inkling of what was to come, says the source. Since then, of course, Meghan has not only become estranged from Mr. Markle, his other children, and her half-brother and sister, but from the wider royal family also, as another birthday reminded us this week. In recent months, Harry and Meghan have given the impression they are keen to mend fences with the royal family. They appeared eager to let it be known that they had enjoyed a friendly phone conversation with King Charles on his birthday last autumn. Harry certainly rushed to see his father, flying more than 5,000 miles across the Atlantic after the King's cancer diagnosis was made public. Yet still, the Sussexes seem determined to risk conflict. Harry's decision to go ahead and collect the Pat Tillman Award last week, despite protests from thousands of people, including the late American hero's own mother, Mary, was a sign of the couple's stubborn refusal to heed criticism. With their popularity seeming on the wane in the US, perhaps it's time to mend a few fences back in Britain. Author Robert Hardman writes in his book, Charles III, New King, New Court, of course the King is extremely sad about Harry and Meghan, but there is a sense of exasperation that he has done what he can and now he is king and there are many more things to think about. He has tried listening. Now he just says, I don't want to know what the problem is. I'm just getting on with my life. In the latest episode of their podcast, The Royals with Roya and Kate, the hosts delved into the recent setbacks faced by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan. Host Kate Mansi suggested that the couple's popularity might be waning in the United States following a series of unsettling events. Kate said, the tide does seem to be turning, Obviously, we've had the former Spotify exec come out and say they were grifters. We've had that South Park episode in which, even worse than being criticized, they were ridiculed. They were Prince and Princess of Canada on their worldwide privacy tour, and I think that, that there were reports that they were going to sue South Park over that. And they said the reports were baseless and boring, which to me just spoke of, they were so angry about the whole thing. They would come out and say something, which then, reignited the whole issue again. And, even the Spectator, which previously had been pretty neutral, said, alas, Harry has become an unloved figure in the United States as he is in Britain. Talk TV's Sarah Hewson said, we're told Meghan didn't like playing second fiddle. Well, they wouldn't have been playing second fiddle right now, would they? They would have been front and center, and they could have played such a key role, and I think it's really, really sad to see just how things have changed. Royal expert Michael Cole seems done with Harry and Meghan, telling GB News, weren't they well received in this country? Look how welcome they were. In Omid Scobie's book, The Duchess of Sussex, says she never wants to come to Britain again. She never felt comfortable here. She had a terribly rotten time. Well, I'm sure that's a surprise to the people who stood 20 deep in Windsor Great Park and cheered them on their wedding day. There was universal welcome in the media to the Sussexes, a breath of fresh air and a welcome addition to the royal family. One wonders what they've got to worry about. There they are, living in California in a hilltop fortress with two healthy, beautiful children. They've got lots of friends, lots of money, lots of praise, lots of fame, and lots of interesting things to do. Palace Intrigue will be right back. And now my favorite part of the show, the reviews. Let's take a good one for a change. Middleton gave us 5 stars saying, my favorite podcast. I love this podcast, and when I came out of anesthetic from surgery yesterday, it was the first thing I listened to. It's the highlight of my day. Middleton Mao via Apple Podcasts, US of A, June 30th, 2024. Thank you, Middleton. So next time you're having surgery, remember the first thing to do is turn us on and we'll give you a smile. In the Daily Mail, F from Hardcastle wonders, did William and Kate give too much away when Princess Anne returned to work? They tweeted, super trooper, so great to see you back so soon. A message that Auntie Anne mightn't appreciate. A mole reports that medical advice was for the Princess Royal to rest up over the summer, the results of head injuries not always being immediately obvious, but Anne isn't noted for doing what she's told. Hardcastle adds, William might have had another reason to see Anne back so soon. She can share the burdens of investitures. So far this year, there have been 25, with Anne presiding at 17. You may be wondering how it's possible that Charles isn't better at giving speeches. Sky News' lead political correspondent, Sophie Ridge, explained why Charles was monotone when addressing Parliament. King Charles reading out of the King's speech in the kind of dull monotone you use when you're trying to get your kids to go to sleep when reading a bedtime story, which is, of course, deliberate to show neutrality. Body language expert Darren Stanton thought Charles seemed to be a lot more serious and reserved than Camilla was. He had his arms by his side with his head above his shoulders and walked with high levels of importance. He didn't look around, he simply looked straight ahead. This tells us he didn't want to feel distracted by anything. Charles was feeling the pressure. We know this as he was very careful with his body language and seemed to be feeling conscious of people watching him. Charles went on to display a combination of nervousness and enthusiasm. He generally appeared in control of his emotions, which proves he was feeling confident with Camilla by his side. However, when we looked at his facial expressions, they did display signals of apprehension at some points. And there you have it. If you'd like to correct all my mispronunciations, the address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the app of your choice. Write us a review and leave lots of stars because you love this show so much and love to support the talented staff behind it all. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue and good times.